business is Circle Networks, and we help people grow their business. We do that through the power of collaboration.
Hello and welcome to Founder Stories, the podcast for small business owners. I'm your host, Simon Kallu, and I created this show not only to motivate and inspire, but to give you actionable strategies to take back into your business, shortcutting your route to success. Each week, I'll sit down with real and relatable business owners, uncovering how they've created a business that gives them freedom, creates impact, and makes money. So let's get started. Welcome back to season 2 of Founder Stories. We're back with a bang. This is episode 2. As always, we're bringing you relatable, inspirational business owners. Today, we have a very special guest who's driven all the way to be here in person, Mr. Jamie Stewart. He's the CEO and founder of Circle Networks. Circle Networks is a community that helps business owners scale, and we'll get into how they do that in a little bit. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Just a bit about Founder Stories. For those of you that have already listened, you already know this. But for those of you that haven't, Founder Stories is about helping entrepreneurs and business owners with more real life actionable advice, strategies, tips, and stories to inspire. So I love podcasts like Diary of a CEO. Actually, for me, it's gone back to where it used to be now, having more sort of business entrepreneurial people on. But if I'm listening to, as I was this week, the CEO of Netflix, great, inspirational, a few bits I can take away, but not necessarily that practical for an entrepreneur running a business, somewhere between 0 and maybe 5 mil turnover, let's say. What I want this podcast to be is that you can go away super pumped, excited, ready to work, but you've actually got some strategies to take away from the podcast as well. So hopefully today we can share your story, some lessons, some of the things that you've maybe found tough, some things that you think viewers or listeners can gain insights and wins that you've had. And I'm particularly interested in discussing actually your views on physical collaboration versus, purely digital business growth methods, which I think is a really interesting one now. We had this chat in the kitchen over coffee. People went straight away to digital when COVID came. Now they're starting to realize that human beings need physical connection, and you can form relationships much more quickly and build trust much more quickly, I believe, with physical collaboration. So it'd be really interesting to get your views on that. So let's start with you. If we can, what I like to do is start with what your business does so people have context and what you're doing now to help people, and then we'll circle back and tell your founder story of how you got there. So tell me about your business. What does it do? Who do you help? And then we'll go from there.
Okay, so the business is Circle Networks, and we help people grow their business. We do that through the power of collaboration. And I think, strictly speaking, we're a networking business. And most people have been networking at some point. They network naturally, whether that's on LinkedIn or with colleagues or clients, people we went to school with. We've all got networks, but most people don't have a strategy.
Okay.
And so we are online networking, but we run some in-person events. So we've got an annual conference and we do some meetups.
Okay.
So we're not strictly hybrid by the true sense of it, in that our networking is purely online, but then people will meet up for doing things together. But you don't have to do that every week.
And you help them with the strategy side of actually how to get the most out of their network.
Yeah, most people just... For me, when I first got into networking, didn't want to do it.
We don't. I used to get up at 4 a.m. and go to BNI in central London when I first started my business. Yeah. And then when I had my first senior hire, the first thing I did was say, okay, you're going to BNI now. Yeah. Have the fried breakfast, stand up for 60 seconds, do your thing. Don't get me wrong, I got 2 or 3 clients from that are still client. I can think of one in particular, still a client now 13 years later. So it can work, to a certain degree, but not that effective.
So that was my experience of it. When I first started self-employment, I wanted to take the kids to school and be around, because I used to leave at 6 in the morning, get in at 7 at night. and I missed out on too much. So I wanted something that worked in my terms. Breakfast networking, I had the perfect excuse not to do it because it didn't meet my values.
Yeah.
Fast forward a little bit, I went along to BNI, got involved, joined. And I went on a journey. And like most people, someone will say, oh, you need new clients. Go networking. Come to my networking group. You go along, you like it, you join. And that's probably where most people stop, the learning part. But there's a strategy to it. It's just like social media is really easy, isn't it? You just post on LinkedIn and you get clients.
Yeah.
We've all tried that. It doesn't work.
Yeah. You can post as much as you like. But if there isn't a thought, I think it's really interesting as a conversation, and this will be the premise for the podcast. It's even with content, you now have people coming back and saying, if you just follow the algorithm and just follow the coaches, you end up looking the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
And you don't look authentic because the content that you're posting just constantly changes. So last year you were doing 2-minute reel videos on education. Now you're doing 4-second looped dancing videos with a really detailed long written description. You know what I'm talking about, to get view count.
Yeah.
But if you just consistently create authentic content along with a strategy overlaid alongside that, which I guess you're giving people, to me, I think that's the best solution. What do you think?
Oh, without a doubt. You've got to give value to people. Our strapline in the business is friendship fuels business.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I said, with networking, we're building a network. You're in the world of business dating. So in our personal lives, you don't go on one date and get married, generally.
I did get engaged within 2 weeks, though, to be fair. Another story for another day.
Okay.
Yeah.
But most
But
people,
no, I agree with you. 100%.
You go on a number of dates,
Yep.
start to get to know people, find out if they're the right fit for you. Sometimes it doesn't work out and you've got to start again. And it's the same with building a network.
Yeah.
You've got to meet people multiple times. And I was that person that used to have lots of one-off meetings with people. Oh,
Yeah.
we should get together and have a one-to-one. And you do that and nothing ever comes from it.
Yeah, and they used to make you do that at BNI as well, like make sure you have a certain number of one-to-ones.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell you what the strategy was after that, the follow-up. Okay. All right, before we get into that then, because that's enough to kind of whet people's appetite, because I definitely think that people want to get back to building relationships. I definitely think, like, for me, I did what you did and I ring-fenced my time with my family and I sacrificed friendships. So for me, getting back to actually doing the podcast, meeting you, meeting other people, then staying in touch afterwards allows me to have friends through business and connect the two. How did you get started in this? Like, before Circle Networks, what were you doing? And what made you have that spark to go and start your own business versus being employed?
So I've always been that person that's got to know lots of different people. So originally I'm from the Lake District, and my first job that started when I was 14, I worked in a builder's yard.
Okay.
And my plan was, I'm going to get to know all these tradespeople because I want to build my own house at some point.
Yeah.
So I serviced the hell out of them. I really looked after these people. I went through uni, I came back, and then one thing led to another. I moved from Cheshire, moved from the lakes down to Cheshire, left my whole network behind, and had to start from scratch.
Why did you do that?
I fell in love.
Okay, yeah, standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've changed jobs and changed industries, and I've always got to know people within the business. And my first full-time job after uni was a manufacturing company. We made seals and gaskets.
Yeah.
Not particularly exciting, but used in heavy engineering technical areas. One of the products, we had this one press, and it had that much business that the lead time was 52 weeks. So you could have it. We're recording this in August.
Yeah.
So you could have it August next year.
Wow.
Can you imagine you got a breakdown on a machine?
Yeah.
And you need a seal. So I knew the guys on the shop floor. I'd go down and say, right, come on, can you fit this in? So I could make stuff happen. I've always been like that. Got to know the right people.
Yeah.
A lot of people work in silos. This is all I need to know. The people that I sit next to in corporate life. And I've always got to know other people. It took me until I was in my 40s to realise that actually I could start a business where I connect people as part of a membership. And I've always wanted to have a subscription business.
Yeah.
So that, and ours is designed to be easy to get into, relatively low cost.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get out of as well. There's no tie-in. But so my journey has always been, I've always been very good at connecting people. There's never been a benefit to me. If I introduce you to somebody and you two do business, doesn't benefit me.
Well, it's just planting seeds, isn't it? If you do it with a genuine intention of helping people, and you have a belief that you're not asking the universe to give you something back, but what goes around comes around, doesn't it? So if you plant enough seeds, eventually the trees start growing and things start coming back your way, because pay it forward is, I think, is that the right phrase? Yeah. You keep paying it forward and it starts coming back, and all these random referrals and good things start happening to you. So you're working in this manufacturing business. What year is this when you start Circle Networks?
So I worked in manufacturing, I left that, I went into telecoms, I left that, I went in, joined an acquiring company, they bought a network marketing business.
And what role are you in at these businesses?
So I started off as pricing, technical support, project manager, associate director, MD of a 15,000 strong multi-level marketing business.
Wow.
Then I left that and started a social media business.
Which just that alone is a good example for people, that you can go into a business working for other people, and if you just work your way around, because you were quite junior when you started, I'd imagine, they could see your skill set was connecting people, which is like network marketing, ultimately, the definition of, and you've worked your way right up to being number one in a business with a headcount of 15,000.
I was really fortunate. So I joined the acquiring company.
Okay.
And they didn't know what they were going to buy. They just wanted to train someone up to be a future MD.
Yeah.
So I shadowed the chief exec of this £500 million business, and then we had the opportunity to buy a business out of administration. So it went into admin on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Friday, October the 13th, 2006, it went into administration. We bought it that day, and they made me, at 33 years old, managing director of this £75 million business.
Do you know what's so interesting? I have people on, and I ask this question usually later in the podcast. Do you think that it's natural talent or hard work that open the doors for you? And there's always a combination of the luck throughout, but they've almost made their own luck because they've got this attitude of they want to work hard, they want to do better, they've got an open mindset, so they're not like the book The Secret and you're manifesting things, but things come along, luck if you like, because you're so open to it. And you're putting yourself in a position that those things will happen. But everyone, I haven't had anyone sit down for the podcast yet that hasn't had a bit of luck along the way.
We create our luck.
Yeah.
You can't sit at home and wait for it to happen.
Yeah.
You've got, and I think one of the things that I've always done naturally is have conversations with people.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we live in a world where people believe that there's some kind of secret where you can create a lead magnet or a system or a bit of software, and you plug it in, and all of a sudden, clients appear.
Yeah.
That's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
We all want that. Unfortunately, I've yet to meet those people. What generally happens is you've got something in place that leads to the point where you have a conversation with somebody. Now, I believe with networking, you can speed that up. So, for example, if your kind of clients and my kind of clients and vice versa, when you're speaking to somebody on a daily basis, you don't have to go out of your way. You just go, would networking help you? Let me introduce you to Jamie, and here's what he does.
Yeah.
And likewise, if I'm speaking to somebody about growing their business and I'm asking them about the numbers and the detail and the support that they've got, and they don't have that in place, and I know an example of a client of yours, and I tell that story, they're going to want to speak to you.
Yeah.
But it comes back to, sorry, it comes
I
back
totally
to
agree. And I think in your example, there are some people that have set up a lead magnet and just been really lucky and started an ad and set it up, and it works amazingly well. But they didn't sit there and work that out themselves. They built up a network of highly skilled individuals around them who told them how to do each element.
Or did it for them. And when it stopped working, they had a network to go to say it's not working anymore. So they may not be where you're selling maybe a really low ticket retail item online e-commerce, like an ebook for $49 or whatever. Let's say they're American, because most of the people that succeed at this seem to be American. They've built a network for a different reason, to help them achieve success in that element. So everyone needs a network, whether you're using that network to directly generate leads or you're using that network to help you grow your business in some other aspect, right? So if I go back to the start, you said
please.
We help people to scale their business. So I see people start networking because they're looking for clients.
Yeah.
Then what happens? They get busy. So they slow down on the networking path.
Yeah.
Because, I've got all these clients, I've got all these meetings, it's a bit overwhelming. And then they service the clients. Clients don't last forever, generally.
Yeah.
So then they go quiet again, and they're on this roller coaster.
Feast famine. Yeah.
I help people. So go networking, make it part of your routine. There's certain things that you will do every single day that are non-negotiable.
Yeah.
To me, speaking to people is that. Now, it might be that you're networking for clients to begin with, but as you're networking and building your network, you'll meet people who offer growth support.
Yeah.
You'll meet somebody that can do podcast editing, video editing, social media management. You can't just find these people the day that you want them. You've got to start bookmarking these people or putting them in your back pocket for the times that you are looking for people.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people miss out on building their network with, that it's very transactional. Someone said to me this week, and my clients don't go networking.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're missing a trick here.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows somebody.
And it's not. I think sometimes people think of networking. We will get back to your founder story in a sec, but it's quite nice this. I love this, the way this podcast becomes conversational and it just goes all over the place. It's super useful because those are the bits that hopefully if you're watching or listening, you can extract, because these are the actionable strategies. Networking is not just for, how I used to see it, a one-man band, sub 100k turnover business. And then once you get over 100k, people seem to think, okay, but we don't do that physical networking anymore because that's for Joe Bloggs, the plumber down the road. You need a good example is I've got an e-commerce client that did 2 mil in the first year, 8 mil in the second year, and they're probably going to do 40 mil this year. Really, really super talented young couple entrepreneurs. I love that kind of growth, right?
Yeah.
But they got from 8 to 40 by joining a network specifically for their industry, which already has all of these individuals in it. They go networking, they work together and they collaborate.
Yeah.
Collaboration was something we spoke about, versus the word networking. And without that, if they were on their own, they would still be, I'm almost certain they'd still be stuck at sub 1 mil. But they realized very early, they also signed up to Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership, which is another example of collaboration on a different kind of level. You get to go to all of his events through the year. Within the Platinum Partners, you sit in a slightly separate area with people who've obviously paid to be in that area, and you're networking with individuals that are operating at a similar kind of mindset to you. So anyway, my point is, don't think if you're listening to this and you're doing more than a certain amount of turnover that this episode is not relevant for you, because the most successful business owners are constantly networking, aren't they? Even the billionaires are constantly networking.
So I'll give you an example. So I was fortunate enough to land this MD's position. It was for a company that was 80 odd years old. So there was a lot of history with it. We had 15,000 reps, operated in 4 countries. And as part of it, I had the opportunity to be on the board of the Direct Selling Association. My view was, why would I want to go and sit in a room with my competition? So I didn't go for 2 years. And then eventually we relocated the business and I ran out of excuses not to go. And I went along. Turns out they're not my competition. They're people who are in a similar industry with completely different clients.
Yep.
And I'd missed out on a lot of conversations. So being in that room, networking with those people. So I then became good friends with the managing directors, CEOs of all the other UK-based businesses. So I could ring them up and ask them what was going on. And a bit of advice that I got. Most people will tell you what they did yesterday.
Okay.
Some people will tell you what they're doing today.
Yeah.
But most keep tomorrow secret.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's generally, with all that stuff, it's in the public domain, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell you what I'm launching tomorrow. You can find out tomorrow once I've launched it.
Yeah.
But most people, and I find we had a guy who taught business from a college come along to one of our networking events, and he said, "This has blown my mind. Everyone's so helpful and wants to help each other. We teach people that everybody treats everybody like competition."
Yeah.
And in the corporate world, that happens.
Yeah.
In the entrepreneurial world, I think people are very supportive and want to see each other do well.
That's right.
And it's a completely different mindset.
And the amount of suppliers to the market, for example, I think good accountants in the UK, I can count them on 2 hands. I know them all, the ones that actually do a good job and offer value versus just filing accounts. And there's, I think, 5 million businesses in the UK.
Yeah.
So let's say there's 10 amazing accountants in the UK and 5 million businesses. Yeah. Okay. So you're back, you're still working. What year did you start Circle Networks?
So I started Circle Networks I had the idea August 2020.
Okay, so it's relatively new.
Yeah.
You've got kids at this point, a wife, a mortgage, all of these things. What gave you the confidence? Had a really interesting conversation after the podcast, unfortunately, and we didn't get it on yesterday's podcast, about the fact that I was fortunate because my wife was a dentist. She's retired now. So she was on 100 grand a year. So I was able to quit my accountancy job at Thomas Kirk and live off her salary. And I think I turned over 25k in the first year, just doing friends and family and learning how to be an accountant, because I was in group finance. I didn't understand what a VAT return was at that point. I mean, I do now for anyone listening. And he also kept working in his previous job, so he had that income coming in. And his point was, because he's a creative, you make different decisions when you don't have to earn money to pay the bills when you start your business. And he would advise everyone, keep your earning going if you can, just enough to pay your bills, because the decisions you make at the early stage will shape the business, and the business should be designed for you, not against you. So what was your situation?
Well, interesting you say married with kids at that point and a mortgage. October 2019, me and my wife decided it was time to call it a day.
Okay, how long had you been together?
20 years.
Okay.
And I think
Big
in
move.
hindsight, going from a great corporate career and salary
Yeah.
and all the perks that go with it to start my own business was the deciding factor. And along that journey, 'cause it didn't happen overnight, but why can't you just have a normal job?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be, I've never been a 9 to 5 person. Whatever I do, I always seem to progress up the ranks. So fast forward, October 2019, I left the family home in place for my now ex-wife and kids.
Yeah.
And moved out and started from scratch, literally from scratch. I was sleeping, so no furniture in this rented house that I got, started rebuilding my life from scratch. Then lockdown hit.
Yeah.
At that point, I was coaching on networking. So I coached
So you'd quit your job.
So I left corporate life in 2013.
Okay.
Started a social media business, which became a video marketing agency.
Okay. Yep.
We were very good at testimonial videos.
Yep.
Because I like to chat.
Yeah.
I like to chat. I'd have a cameraman who would film and someone would do the editing. And my job was just to chat with somebody's client, get a testimonial from them.
Yeah.
We would then produce that. And that's really what networking helped me to develop that business and scale it.
Yeah.
Now, the good part of that was everybody could watch our videos. So every time we did a video, I posted it.
Yeah.
And people would say, I've watched all your videos. Can I have one just like that?
Yeah.
And when we went and interviewed a business owner about the service that they'd had from somebody else, they'd go, this is really good. Can you do this for us? So every client generated a new client.
Yeah.
And it became self-fulfilling. The downside of that was I sat some training, and took me on this journey where I learned how to network. And I got very clear on, you don't need to sit my training, right? Get clear on where you're going. What's your vision for your business? Work out what your ideal client is, the favorite kind of client that gives you joy, that you love to work with.
Yeah.
Find out the people who deal with those kind of clients, make them your best friends in business, help them, and they will help you.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I learned to do. And I went from a typical client being worth $3.5 grand a year for video work to winning a 45 grand client within 3 months.
Wow.
And that's where I realized that networking could change everything for me.
Yeah. So that was the light bulb moment.
Yeah. Then,
And what year was that?
as we're talking about 2016 then. And then I'd sat this training. We ended up filming at the conference for this company. And the guy that trained me said, I think you'd be quite good at teaching this. And the video work was taking me all over the country, which was the opposite of what I wanted from a business.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is great. I've got an office. People can come to me. I love it.
Yeah.
So I signed up, did the training course, got involved in that and started to grow that. Moved forward a few years. I really enjoyed that more than anything else because the results that people got. But I found that some people would sit the training, have the knowledge, but not implement it.
Okay.
And I found that really frustrating. I'm like, you know what to do. You're good at what you do. What's holding you back?
So sorry to interrupt you, was that they'd sit the training, they'd pay for the training,
Yeah.
they'd therefore have the knowledge, but then they were like on their own. So it's almost like an online course they were doing. Or were they then part of
So
the
it was,
community at
so
that point?
I used to run it as like an in-person training.
Yeah,
One day per fortnight for 4 sessions.
yeah,
And then so we'd take them through it, they'd implement stuff, but then at the end of it, they'd either just stop or they wouldn't have done some of the stuff next
Okay.
week, tomorrow, all that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I'm like, you're holding yourself back in some way. And a friend of mine said, I think you should sit this NLP training course. And I was like, I read a book on NLP when I was in my 20s. I don't need to sit a course on it. Anyway, I did it, loved it. Did my master practitioner in NLP. And as learning to become a trainer, coach in that, I took the handbrakes off me. And I doubled my business in 3 months.
Wow.
I didn't realise that I was holding me back.
That's really interesting. And NLP is a lot of what, say, Tony Robbins does with all of the stuff that he does. Most people look at it and see it as, I don't know, something that's not for them. I haven't done any formal NLP training. After that comment, I will. What did it give you, the NLP training? What did it change?
Confidence, belief, releasing a lifetime. If we've all got mobile phones.
Yeah.
Every year, software release comes out, and we upgrade our software so that it runs better.
Or every 2 weeks if you've got a Tesla, it seems like, yeah.
But with our mindset, nobody teaches us how to think and how to upgrade our operating system.
Yeah.
And we have a lifetime of stuff, baggage, negative emotions that layer. So we've all experienced going on holiday, having a good time, and that good feeling getting locked in. So that when we come back, we can hear some music, smell a certain smell. It takes us right back to that great experience.
Yeah,
and we feel that. Equally, somebody can ring us up and we're like instant feel of dread in the pit of our stomach.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So there's a lot of negative stuff that goes on, and those negative emotions can hold us back. Limiting beliefs. I had a limiting money belief that I didn't realise.
Okay.
So I went to university in 1992. I was the last year that got a full grant at uni as they introduced student loans.
Okay. Yeah.
So the day I arrived at uni, there was a bank on site at Salford University, and I went and opened up a bank account. They gave me a credit card, an overdraft,
I remember that.
and then I took out a student loan as well.
Yeah.
Now, this is back in 92 where consumer credit wasn't mainstream, and I was just given all this stuff. And I remember saying, it's okay, I'm going to be in debt for the rest of my life when I get a mortgage. That went in.
Yeah.
So no matter how much I earned in my career, I always got into debt. Had to earn more, pay it off. And I changed that mindset. The self-talk that we have that we don't even realise, that we might not even be saying anymore, impacts us. And you've probably heard, like me, that our childhood has a massive impact on our
100%. I was reading The Silent Patient, which is a fiction book, but it's about psychotherapy. And it had an interesting paragraph in there that basically said, look, everything that you do as an adult almost is in you subconsciously from things you've learned and observed as a child that you may not even be aware of. Like, I can't really remember anything from 12 years old for whatever reason. So I have no idea what happened before that. But the stuff that I do now, and it actually really resonates with me, because I'll have great days at work, personally, feeling happy, feeling good, and then I'll try and reverse through that and understand why. Because equally, I could have a day the next day where I'm not productive, I'm task shifting, I've got that dread about something, and I'm not feeling good. So NLP, I guess, helps you understand a bit more about why you're having those good days and bad days.
And
it's neuro-linguistic programming, right?
Yes, yeah, it is. And there's another part that I set as well called timeline therapy. Never in my life did I think that I would have therapy.
Yeah.
It's not therapy, but that's what it's called. Or be involved in helping people with it. And that to me has been one of the most, it's like rebooting the computer. Yeah, when you've got a problem with it, turn it off and back on again.
And most people reboot their computer by either drinking, taking drugs, going on holiday and drinking loads, or
just burying their head in the sands.
Yeah.
And so I found by going through this process that I just started getting more done.
Yeah.
I stopped procrastinating.
So that business is now really starting to scale.
So as we were approaching lockdown, the coaching side of the business really started to grow for me. And I was involved in a franchise at the time, and my plan was, we're just going to make this massive franchise. Then lockdown hit, and the world changed. Networking changed. I was in BNI at the time.
And were you doing in-person coaching?
I was doing a mixture of in-person.
Yeah.
January 2020, I decided to take it all online.
And that's one-to-one, you helping people using the stuff that you've learned through the NLP and the timeline.
Yeah.
And were you still doing the video testimonial stuff at that time?
Yes, but then that stopped the day of lockdown.
Okay, got it. And I guess you've met so many people doing that you can offer your coaching. I also have this, and that generates leads, and that's how you built the coaching business.
So, because I'm teaching people about building their network, it's a word of mouth business. I am a product of my own system.
Yeah.
So I teach people how to build relationships. I build relationships with people. I help them. Reciprocity kicks in.
Yeah.
They help me back.
Yeah, got it.
And it was interesting listening to one of your episodes, and you talked about how people can have a business that gets referrals, but it can be like feast and famine because they're doing it unconsciously. They don't understand what's generating the referrals.
Yeah.
I help people to get consistent referrals.
Okay. That would be nice.
Yeah. What's interesting is, so let me finish that story. So lockdown hit. I'd already decided to take my coaching online. The video work stopped that day. Fortunately, I was coaching. So the coaching stuff started to replace the video work.
Yeah.
It gave me an amazing opportunity just to stop doing videos.
Yeah.
And focus completely on coaching.
Yeah.
So the coaching then formed the basis of my income for the next 18 months, 2 years.
Okay.
As I started to build the networking business.
Yeah.
So I did 4 months of online BNI and realised that it just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
One big Zoom room with everybody on mute, waiting for their turn to do their pitch. I thought there's a better way of doing this, and so I quit. And a friend of mine, Greg, said, why don't you start your own networking group? So the plan was originally, I'm just going to start one networking group to generate leads for my coaching.
And would that have been, which is my question about the effectiveness of BNI for businesses that have a reach. So for example, our ideal client lives in the UK, but also could live anywhere around the world. Forget the round of world stuff, even just look at the rest of the UK. When I networked in BNI, it was all about, can we pick up clients within W1, which is where the office is?
It's within 30 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah. So how do you create a networking or collaboration community that helps businesses that have a wider reach? And can you do that?
Yeah. So a friend of mine, when I first started my business, because I'd come from direct sales network marketing, I initially targeted direct selling companies to offer social media services for. Got involved with this company called Enyo, and the bulk of their clients, their distributors, were up in Aberdeen. So they used to hold a conference up there anyway. So I got to know some people up there.
Yeah.
Stayed in touch with this woman called Mal Foley. And then 2 years ago, I saw that she'd started a print and embroidery business. Like I wear today. She made this for me.
Yeah.
And she only had local clients. She used to network locally, only had local clients.
Yeah.
I said, come and try us. She's now got clients across the country. Whilst she manufactures them herself in Scotland, she can ship them anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's a nice person. She's good at
How
what
does she do that then? So your meetups are in person. Presumably they're in a central location and people travel to those.
All our events are online.
Oh, okay.
So all our events online. So we use Zoom for that, but we put people into small breakout rooms so you have conversations with 2 or 3 people.
Ah, got it. Yeah, it's totally different to BNI. Like I'm in a mastermind with other accountants. Now I couldn't find, it sounds really arrogant, but I couldn't find, and I've been through so many, a networking group / mastermind. So mine is like a hybrid of, we get taught how to run our business better by our coach who runs the whole thing. He's got 8 groups of 8 all around the world. Basically, he was in business for 30 years, done really, really well, built up a knowledge about how an accountancy firm should be. He wrote a book called The Perfect Firm, a guy called Rob Nixon. And he picked 8 of these around the 8 top golf courses in the world because he just loves to play golf.
I know.
So it's remote, in person. So 3 times a year there's an in person. But there are no groups in the UK because he came to the UK, tried to get 8 accountancy firms together that had the right mindset, the right skill set, and he couldn't find 8 in the whole of the UK. Couldn't believe it. You can't write it, can you? And when he did run it, he ran it for a year. We were the ones that constantly stood up and offered value to the other accountants because we were so progressive compared to them. So to get around that, we joined a group of his in the US. So we do remote, and they're from all over the US, which makes no difference to me because we're talking about how to run a business effectively. Yeah. We're not doing that group to pick up clients. We're doing it to learn best practice. And then we get to go to America 3 times a year, which is fine as well, which is quite nice. I'm going to Aspen, Colorado next month, which is cool. So I love the fact that, which is different, I guess, but the similarity is BNI is very traditional. I'm not sure if it still operates like that or they've tried to transition, but the model is localized. The same goes for my understanding of SEO, which is a totally different thing. Why would I look to locally optimize SEO when I want to pick up clients from the whole of the UK? So if you can do online, so do you have any physical element of people getting together?
So we organise social events.
Okay, yeah, because
you and I
want to see people, don't they?
Yeah, and relationship building is formed over food and drink normally.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about the restaurant chain Mowgli.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of that. So I will organise events around food generally.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
In the town that I live in, there's some great restaurants, or it'll be somewhere else around that. So we do pop-up events, if you like, that are just social.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And that's what we do when we go to America. So the first night is just a big dinner with everyone around, and we share the cost. And that's where breaking bread, whether you're drinking or not drinking, you make some real connections in a different way. Because people just relax then, don't they?
Yeah. And it's not about business. You lead me onto a good point there. So we do that, and then we've got an annual in-person conference that we run in Birmingham.
Okay.
So that's each September.
In Birmingham?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. You should come.
Yeah, no, I will, for sure.
And what's different with that is, you talked about the Diary of a CEO going back to its roots.
Yeah.
So we don't have any celebrity speakers. They are people who are a few years ahead of the audience.
Okay, yeah.
There's no pitching from the stage. So I've paid for multiple events in the past.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You go, and then there's a speaker on stage. They're either selling their latest book on a tour, and they're not really sharing much value. You get more from reading the book. Yeah. Or they're selling their latest program. They go, so you can do this, this, and this. Scan this QR code, and you can buy this thing today.
Or run to the back of the room because there's only 20 spots. Yeah. And then they're gone. So that's the whole event.
We don't have any of that. All the speakers are in the room for the day, so you'll be sat with some of the speakers.
That's cool.
And then there's no pitching. So I've tried to make it completely different.
Yeah.
There's only one type of ticket. So and we have round tables just like this.
Oh, I love that.
So you're not there crammed in.
You don't feel like you're an inferior human being because you're not sat in the VIP section.
I've been there. I went last minute. I booked for this event. I've never been before. I don't know those people. I'm going to buy the cheap one. Yeah. I felt like a second-class citizen.
You do. Have you ever been to Tony Robbins' event?
No.
Like, I love Tony. He changed my life. But if you book a normal ticket for a Tony Robbins event, here's what happens. You go to the event 3 hours before. You sit on the floor outside the auditorium. They have one in the NEC. I'm no joke. And then when they open the doors, you run. Because there's like 80% of the seats are normal. So you want to be close to the front because it's such a massive... Yeah. And then you've got, I think, silver, gold, platinum, and then diamond.
Yes. We all want the best one, don't we?
Yeah.
So we don't have any of that.
And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I love your idea about inclusivity. And if you can make the economics work, everyone pays one flat and everyone feels part of the same community.
Yeah. And then as part of that, I include my sales and networking training in the ticket price because I want people to upgrade their skills, make their money back before they even attend, and then come learn from people on the day.
And then they're relaxed then, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's what we try and do with clients. Similar thing is in the first 90 days, we'll look for ways that we can get them a return as a minimum equal to the fees that they pay us for the first 12 months. Because then it's a big deal switching accountants, for example, or it's a big deal coming to your event. If they've already had a return of their first 12-month fees, they're like, okay, I trust these guys now. Now I can relax. I'm listening to what they're saying. Let's implement. Let's make changes.
And I had a guy, he's recently gone from employed to self-employed, creative agency designer. Came and sat my training course. So it runs over 6 weeks. So he did week 1 Monday last week. On Tuesday, and I give people actions to take away and do. Tuesday, he signed a client that covered all his bills for August.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's just took the pressure off me.
Yeah, and for you it's amazing because you get the reward and the fulfillment of helping him. You'll get a quick testimonial, brilliant, probably generates another client.
Yep.
And if you can create a business that genuinely helps people, it's always going to be so much easier to get clients in the first place, retain clients because he'll want to buy more from you. Yep. And then he'll become, I spoke about this yesterday, you want to deliver massive value to clients, create raving fans. And then if you do that consistently, even without a referral strategy, you'll get consistent referrals. But if you layer obviously one of your referral strategies over the top, you'll get even more. Did you have, when you started Circle Networks, did you seek out a mentor yourself? Or I know you mentioned that you went back to the group that you didn't want to go to, and you have access now to other people running similar businesses. Is that how you kind of get help? Or did you have a one-to-one mentor? What did that look like?
So with this business now, the one person that's probably, there's 2 people have had a big impact on me, and they're both authors. So one is a guy called Bob Berg, who wrote a book called The Go-Giver.
I'm going to write that down. Yeah.
And that's formed the underlying philosophy of Circle Networks, and it's all about paying it forward.
Yeah.
Become a go-giver, help other people, and it will reciprocate. Now, I've been lucky enough that I've had referrals to Bob, spoke to him, and had a few conversations with him, and I was starry-eyed when I met him.
Was it random that you found his book, read it, and just aligned with it, or did someone recommend it to you?
I think someone recommended to me, and we're going back about 15 years now.
Okay.
That someone, it was quite new at the time, I guess. Yeah. The other book that's had a significant impact was Go for No.
Go for No.
Written by Andrea Waltz and Richard Fenton, their husband and wife.
Okay.
As part of my previous job, we used to book speakers. We used to run big 5,000 person conferences.
Yeah.
So I was the first person that brought Andrea and Richard across to speak in the UK about 2010, 2011, and then introduced them. I was in a job at this point, but this was me. I would introduce them to my competitors in the direct selling industry, and they've got other bookings of speakers. So that they, even now, Andrea just spoke for me at one of our online events, and she said, you've had a massive impact on our speaking career, and there's no benefit to me for doing that. It's just nice to help other people. So Go for No is all about embracing rejection.
Okay.
You've got to be comfortable as a business owner.
Yeah.
You've got to be comfortable with people saying no.
Yeah.
Those 2 books were the biggest things. So I think in one of your podcasts, you say you will naturally find a book to learn how to do something.
Yeah, try to.
I used to be audio for a while, and
Yeah.
then I realised the thing I struggled with reading was I just needed glasses.
Okay. Yeah.
I was in denial for a long time, and I felt like I could read, but I'd lose my focus before I got to the end of the page.
Yeah.
It was marginally out of focus.
Okay.
So I've gone back massively into reading physical
Yeah, I love
books.
reading physical books now and just marking them up and things. I feel like now I've got all the strategies I need personally, so I'm implementing, so I'll go through phases. Now I'm reading fiction because I've found, only recently when I went to Ibiza, I took this Silent Patient book, as it was recommended by someone I follow on Instagram, and it switched off my brain from thinking about work, which for me at the moment is more important than having more strategies. It's implementing the strategies and then being able to switch off to come back again. And 4,000 Weeks, I'm what I've almost finished as well, which I'd highly recommend, which is about you've only got 4,000 weeks in your life. So stop trying to follow the latest, which I was all about following, like the Tony Robbins time of your life, RPM management, diary system, this diary for this diary for that, follow this, get more done by whoever, and all these strategies. It's all about making the best use of your time, not getting the most out of your time. And where do you really want to be spending your time?
So I've got 2 dogs, 2 working Cocker Spaniels. That helps me to switch off. I used to listen to audiobooks, and then I
Yeah.
realised I wasn't in the moment. So now I go out and I just walk the dogs and I'm present with them.
Yeah.
That helps me switch off.
Okay. Which is really important, right? As an entrepreneur to have that.
Yeah.
Like one of my questions was going to be, but we may as well link into it now. What's your routine now to have that balance? So when you're at work, you've got focus and drive, but you're able to recharge your batteries. Like what does a typical day look like? How much do you work in terms of hours? Because there's something I've been thinking about recently, in that actually the higher you get up in your business, the less you should work. So you can keep thinking big and having the energy to think big rather than getting dragged into the day-to-day.
So I'll answer that in a second. To go back to 2020, I worked all the way through it. So the lockdown that we had, where there was this amazing weather outside, I didn't see any of it. I was just on Zoom.
Yeah.
I was just on Zoom, and I built the coaching business up, and largely I would run some group programs, but largely it's one-on-one. It's very draining.
Yeah.
And alongside that, I was building circle networks up. I hit a tipping point early last year, where I could reduce the coaching and concentrate more on building the business now.
Yeah.
So that's the point that I've got to. So I only have a handful of one-on-one clients now.
Okay. And you still do that presumably because you enjoy it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, and I love the results that people get. And I can put more into people now because I've got few people. But you're right. You've got to maintain that income to allow you to build your future business.
And there are phases, right? That was your startup phase where you were like a baby, an infant, which is where you do need to put hours in, because actually you're the one that needs to do everything. You're wearing all the hats. Yeah. It's not like you can turn around and go, I'm only going to work 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day, because there's just beep that needs to get done.
But to answer your other question now, I use a calendar booking system like everybody.
Yeah.
But nobody can book a call with me on a Friday.
Okay.
So I keep Fridays clear now.
Yeah.
In my head, my plan is that I go and walk the dogs on Fridays.
Yeah.
The weather is never nice on Fridays.
Yeah.
And not in my world. And I'm not a fair weather walker. The dogs need to go out twice a day. But it's much more enjoyable when the weather's at least dry.
Yeah.
So Monday to Thursday, I'd probably start on LinkedIn about 7:30 in the morning.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll get my first bit out, then I'll go and walk the dogs after that now.
Yeah.
Because I like to walk them during the day. I used to be that person that would walk them in the dark in the morning, work all day, walk them in the dark at night. That's no fun, that. So I do it on my terms now.
Yeah.
And I'm quite happy to work up until 6 or 7.
Yeah.
It varies. Depends on what me and Lou have got going on at
Your
night.
partner. Yeah.
But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm still available. I still
Yeah.
interact with people. Last Saturday, I had a call with somebody. Craig's based in Chester. Imran's over in Pakistan.
Yeah.
It suited us both to have a call on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I will do that. It's not a hard and fast rule that I only work these days. There's give and take.
Yeah.
Now, the other bit that I talk to people about is having more perfect days. Because you're right, we have only got, and this hit home to me, Lou's parents are in their mid to late 70s, and a couple of years ago they said, I think that was our last activity holiday. They'd been on a Greek flotilla sailing holiday.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, so if I'm coming up for 50, and by the time I'm getting to 75, that's going to be my last, I've got 25 years of holidays. Now, if you only go away once a year, you've only got 25 holidays left.
Yeah.
That was a wake-up call for me. And one of the things I talk to people about, not waiting for, we're in August now, a lot of people will be going, next year we'll have a big holiday in the summer. That's a whole year of your life wasted.
Yeah.
A perfect day for me, and when I really broke it down, it's, my kids are getting a bit older now, so they're pretty independent. So it's me and Lou getting up, having breakfast, going off and walking the dog somewhere where they can be off the lead and running free.
Yeah.
Whether that's a beach or up a mountain.
But you live in a nice part of the world, right? You can get out and it's like nice England.
Yeah.
Countryside.
Yeah. Generally, we've got an hour's drive to get to hills, though.
Okay.
We're in a flat part of the country in
Yeah.
Cheshire. So we'll find a pub along the way, whether that's for lunch or a drink, come back and have a barbecue. That is a perfect day for me.
Yeah.
I don't need to be waiting for anything else to happen other than me and Lou have got nothing on.
Yeah.
And even if it's not the best weather, we can go off and have an adventure.
Yeah.
Most people, I find, are waiting for tomorrow.
True.
And life will just pass you by.
Yeah, when this happens, I'll do this.
When
this happens, I'll do this.
Yeah.
When I hit this profit, I'll start taking more than one holiday a year.
And I speak to a lot of people. They just win a big client. How are you going to reward yourself? What?
Yeah.
What?
I'm not. I'm going to move on to the next one.
Well, I've forgotten about it already.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
mean? What do you mean reward myself? So they don't. And I talk to people a lot about what is it that you want, not what you need. What is it that you want? It's okay to want stuff. I think as kids we're told not to want, but want is what drives us forward. And it's okay to want something, and you don't have to explain it to anybody else. If you want to have £10,000 in the bank, or be a millionaire, or have a big house, or have 10 holidays, or whatever, that's up to you. You don't need to justify that to anybody.
Yeah.
But it should be part of your vision, the thing that lights you up each day, that gets you out of bed. So that I love what I do. I don't feel like I work.
Yeah.
I don't think that you do either.
No, I love what I do. And there are some days where I'll get up and I'll start work at 6 and I might still be working at 9. This week I've got 2 calls as part of my mastermind, which are 10 p.m. till 12 p.m. because it's US time. But I know I'm reconnecting with people and the value that I'm going to get. So I'm happy to do it. It's not like, oh God, I've got to do it. It's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Last month I helped as a friend of mine. She's got a networking business in Australia. There's a reason why I don't know many people in Australia, because the time zone is a killer. And I helped her out. I managed all the breakout rooms for her on Zoom.
Yeah.
It just made it so easy for her. She could just relax on talking. Now, did it benefit me? No. But it made her life easier.
Yeah.
And I did a lot to build that relationship.
Yeah, and I think I'm definitely going to read that book, or both of them, but the second one, Go for No, and about paying it forward. I think there's so much to unpack there. First, it's paying it forward and doing good without necessarily, even if you're busy, without necessarily wanting something in return and being transactional. Second is, and I'm sure you run this through with people that are part of Circle Networks and or the people that you're coaching. I haven't done it for a while actually, but usually I'll get a journal, and in the front of the journal, which I follow from my coach, writing out your vision. Short term, long term, medium term. You know, whether we work in 4-month sprints, 3 through the year, or quarterly sprints. Most people just work.
Yes.
They just get on the hamster wheel and they just work. So we teach our clients, okay, well, let's work in quarters, work for a quarter, review your progress on these. You're only allowed 3 on the business projects. So we kind of help people by minimizing their tax, looking at their financials, which is what all accountants do. But then if they need it, we give them a framework for strategic planning that just comes from the methodology of the Scaling Up book, if you've ever read that. But we extended it. That said, work in 3-month sprints. And I felt like you'd work for 2.5 months, you'd extend that to 3 months, you'd have no break, no review time, and you go straight into the next run. So now we do 3 months, 2 weeks review, 2 weeks off, where you deload, almost like bodybuilding. Go hard, review the progress, deload, reset projects for the next, they call it a tertial, and then go again. And then what I've tried to do with the kids is sit down with my wife and almost plan out the holidays for the next 12 months to try and get 4 holidays in, plus 1 where we go away without the kids. Yeah. And that can be a little bit, it's nice to do things that are off the cuff as well, but at least you've got something in where, like you said, do you reward yourself? You work hard for 3 months, you look at the results, you've already got the reward in, or at least you've blocked it out in your calendar.
The time is the big thing.
Block the time out. And if you haven't hit the goals, don't reward yourself. Maybe you go to Tempe instead of Florida. Yeah. Or maybe you don't, you stay at home. But you've got some time off blocked in to sort of decompress.
And it's hard. When you're growing a business and you hear people talking about you need to go on holiday, and you find that you have your best holidays, your ideas while you're on holiday.
100%.
But then as you're scaling your business, I haven't got the money for that. It doesn't. With the beauty of Airbnb now, you can pick up some great deals. Yeah. And if you're self-catering, it doesn't have to be expensive. You can have
No.
But it's just being out of your normal environment.
Yeah.
When I first started my business, the first thing I did was rent an office.
Okay, yeah.
So I've had 2 or 3 offices along the way. I absolutely love working from home now. And my plan is probably counter to what most people will do. I don't want to have any employees. I want to grow my business to be global, and we're in that direction now, without any employees for as long as possible, without an office.
Yeah.
The street that I live in, I live right in the centre of town. At the end of it, there's a NatWest bank that shut down recently, a couple of years ago, and I was like, when I first moved in, I thought, NatWest are going to shut at some point. That would be a great head office. And then they shut, and it's too early for me. But it went up for 450,000.
Yeah.
And it's in the centre of town.
Yeah.
And it's got parking out the back for 30 cars. I was like, that'd be a great head office, training venue.
Yeah.
And I went, it probably needs the same amount of money spent on it again. I went through this whole thing. How can I get £1 million? And I thought, if I had £1 million in the bank, why would I bother putting it into a property?
Yeah.
That's then going to cost me money, that then I've got to make more money to keep feeding it. I just keep the £1 million. So I went through this whole thing, and that made me realise that I'm building a global business. If I set up an office in the UK, that's not going to benefit our guys in Dubai or South Africa.
Yeah.
I don't need an office. I can rent places where...
Yeah, we did the same thing. We had a central London office in Soho. We realised that, first of all, it meant that we could only recruit from London.
Yeah.
We have to pay people more. They're less loyal. They tend to be, because they're more ambitious. They've gone to London to be ambitious, to earn the most they can. You can remove that overhead. Now you can recruit from the whole of the UK. One of our senior chartered accountants lives in Italy. She's English, but she lives in Italy because her partner is doing a PhD project in Italy. But she is unbelievable. So the recruitment pool is so big, and the flexibility. Yeah. We've got 20 plus people in the Philippines. So we do have a team. But I imagine with you, if you put on an event, you can turn people on that come and help you, subcontractors, and then turn them off afterwards, and that works way better than having a payroll headcount that you've got to pay throughout the whole year.
But even with the business, we've got 39, today we've got 39 networking groups.
Wow.
I've got 50 people involved in running the business.
Yeah.
None of them are employees, they're all partners.
Okay. So by partner, what's your definition of that?
So similar to a franchise, we have licensees.
Okay.
So we've got licensees and some volunteers that do some of the admin.
For the localised area stuff?
Yeah.
So they each get an area?
So loosely, we'll start a group based on, for me, Cheshire.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just an online networking. It's the time slot. So I run mine on a Monday from 5 till 6:30.
Oh, okay.
I call it Cheshire.
Yeah.
I had somebody there from Russia the other day.
Yeah.
Somebody based in Austria.
Yeah.
Across the UK. It's the time slot and the people that...
Yeah, so it's just an additional group, basically. Did you say you're in Dubai?
Yeah.
You've got a group in Dubai?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, it's just my cogs are turning because, you know, it's somewhere that we have clients and we've toyed with how do we get into Dubai without physically moving there yet and having a physical office, but start to do business there and start to network out in Dubai and pick up clients. Because for those, they don't need tax filing necessarily, but they want to get an insight on their numbers. They want a virtual CFO service. But it's how do you get out there, which I'm sure you could tell me if I became a member of Dubai Circle Networks, and meet people.
Yeah, right. Anybody listening to this, I say to everyone, you don't need to meet new people.
Okay.
You and I were already connected on LinkedIn.
Yeah, true.
Before we spoke about the
True.
podcast.
True.
So everybody has got all the connections that they need for the next few clients. Probably, if you could find some people, and I talk about referral partners, collaboration partners, if you could find 5 people who deal with your ideal client and build a great relationship with them, and if they've got 100 clients and you've got 100 clients and you cross-fertilise, you don't need to meet any.
So it's not volume. Your first bit of advice for people who are listening to this would be go find 5 people that work with clients who are your ideal client, potentially doing different things.
Yeah, so they either
servicing them in different ways.
They work with your client before or after you.
Okay, got it.
So not
so
doing
for me,
what
it might
do.
be like a financial advisor or a networking group or an executive coach, or a lawyer,
or an agency of some kind.
People marketing agency.
People who are trusted partners. Could be a health and safety company.
Yeah,
you know, it's, as stupid as that sounds, who does the health and safety company work with? Probably the senior directors in the business.
Yeah, who has a physical location, if it's retail that you're in, for example. Yeah, that makes sense. So it doesn't have to be this, because we'll unpack this as we sort of try and bring things together. How do people get started? What's their advice? But that is easy. And actually it's something that I've been told to do in the past. But like you said, where you were teaching people, And because it wasn't a continual subscription and being part of a community where you're getting reminded to do it,
the accountability element.
you just don't do it. Like, you go to Business Mastery with Tony Robbins and he'll say, okay, the groups that I've put you in, the facilitators have picked people based on the listing so that you can now take their numbers, create a WhatsApp group, go away and start networking. And this is what I want you to do. But do people do it? They do it for the first 2 or 3 months and then it just tails away.
Yeah.
Because there's no one outside. Because people might say, well, I could just do this myself.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work. I can tell you. Because unless you're part of Circle Networks and you're paying a subscription and there's accountability, because one, you can see it going out of your bank account, which is the biggest thing. Like, things that we pay for, you value way more.
We don't value free stuff.
No. Or stuff that you have to like, who's organising that WhatsApp group? Who's making sure that people turn up to the calls? One of the people in the group. Like, it doesn't work really over the long term.
Yeah.
From my experience, I'd imagine being part of something like you've created would create that accountability to keep it going in the long term.
So I help people meet people.
Yeah.
I help them learn how to build relationships with the right ones, and the activity, the habits that you need to have in place. I read, I'm one of those people, I've got the weekend, I'm going to do this over the weekend.
Yeah.
And then I never get it done, and it used to frustrate the hell out of me. Christmas has always been one of those, I've got all this time off, I've got 2 weeks over Christmas, the weather's usually rubbish, I don't want to watch anything that's on TV, what am I going to do? So this Christmas, I said, I'm going to study Atomic Habits.
Oh, I love that book.
It had been on my to-do list for a long time, so I bought it. No, I didn't. We had a Secret Santa, so I put it on my list for Secret Santa. Someone, thank you, whoever you are, sent me Atomic Habits. So I sat down and read it over Christmas, and I made a decision this year. I decided that I was going to pass more referrals than ever before. What are the habits that I need to do that? So it was one a day. So I started tracking it.
Yeah.
Meet people. I'm quite good at giving good introductions. So I don't just go, Simon, you should have a call with this person. I speak to you both beforehand, check that you're a good fit, explain why you should do that, then I put you together.
Yeah.
And I've done that this year. January went by, no real change. A little bit of growth. February, got to the end of February, one of my friends, Elliot Kay, introduced me to someone that was, he said, would you be interested in buying this other network? I'm like, yeah. And that, it was only a small network, but that triggered huge growth in our business, and then we tripled.
And that's from putting in place daily and weekly, almost checklist habits that you just tick off and do consistently.
And then it just becomes a habit that you
I love that. Do you know what? One of the biggest mistakes that I've made, and this will be a question for you, what are the biggest mistakes that people make regards networking and collaboration, and just generally in business, is I'll do something and I won't see results for a month, so I'll just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I did that for like 12 years until I was on holiday with the family, and I came all the way back around to I need to develop some JV, I'd call them in my notebook, partners that I keep in touch with, I regularly help, and they help me, and I need to do it consistently. Have I done that in the past? I came up with that idea in a journal that I've got from when I started my business in 2011. If I'd have just done that every week for 10 years, and there are other things that I wish I'd just done consistently for 10 years, I believe my business would be 10 times the size. Like, I'm okay with where my business is, but the reality of it is a lot of us are already doing the right things. We just don't do them for long enough.
You've read Chet Holmes' Ultimate Sales Machine.
I love that book, yeah. And he trained Tony Robbins.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with the Dream 100?
Yeah, love that book. Love that. Or love that concept, yeah. Is that in Ultimate Sales Machine? It's not a book on its own, is there?
No, it's in Ultimate Sales Machine.
Yeah, Dream 100. Love the concept. But I think people who are listening, watching, will have never heard of it.
Okay, so I love it. And I read that book a long time ago, read it, had the audio book, picked out certain things, educational based marketing, but and at any moment, one of the things that I remember from that, any moment, only 3% of people are interested in buying your thing.
Yeah.
So when you go to networking and you're trying to sell, so hi everybody, here's what I do, I sell this thing, only 3% of people, that's why people get disappointed with networking.
Yeah.
Everybody goes networking to sell, no one goes to buy.
Yeah.
So if you're going to sell and no one's there to buy, you're just going to be disappointed. If you go networking to meet people to build collaborations and joint ventures with, and then you follow up with the ones that you like afterwards and turn them into friends and help each other, that's how you scale your business.
Yeah.
Now, the Dream 100, I use it in two ways. So I encourage people to write a list out of 100 people that if you won one of them as a client, it would have a major impact on your business.
Yeah. They're your dream clients, right?
Dream clients.
And you can find them, just use Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, put all the criteria in. I mean, even if you don't have Sales Navigator, you can just use a LinkedIn search, or you can just Google.
Or ask other people.
Who
should I be working with?
Because that is one thing I struggled with when I did that. Like, okay, fine. But there's 5 million businesses. How do I pick 100? I know that's what.
And how do you know that they're the right personality fit for you as well? Because for me, it's personality more than anything of the right kind of people I work with. So you work on this list, and it's always a work in progress. You're not going to get to 100.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. There was someone that I spoke to the other day. She was sitting one of my training courses, and she's involved in psychometric testing, profiling, and she's done a lot of work in housing associations. And I said, this is dead easy. You just go and find the list of all the UK housing associations. It'll be ranked in order of size. That's your Dream 100. Now, you probably want to speak to the existing housing associations that you've dealt with and ask them which of the CEOs which would be the right fit for you, because some won't be. But really easy for her to do her Dream 100.
Yeah.
So you write a list out of your Dream 100. When you're networking with people, can I share this list of people? You might not know them, but you might know one or two of them.
Yeah.
Would you just have a look at that?
Yeah.
And they go, oh yeah, I know this person. We're really good friends. We used to work together, blah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they make that introduction for you.
And you could look at, couldn't you, if you're second degree connections with any of them on LinkedIn. And if you are, ideally in person though, you could call up your first degree connection, who you should know ideally, and ask them. Do you know what I did? It's a funny story. I went with my wife because I was going to execute the Dream 100 strategy in terms of I found the 100. Now I'm going to send them something cool, which is part of it, every couple of weeks. So part of it, guys, is to get an envelope, like a jiffy bag or whatever it is, put something cool in it that's meaningful to them and memorable. Like, for example, I might put £10 in there and say, you know, this is really bad, but just comes into my head. You know, every minute that you work with your existing accountant, you're losing money. I've paid you some of that back. I'd love it if you came and just had a 5-minute chat with us so I can show you all the cool stuff we can do with your business. And so you send that to them, but put something random in it that's a weird shape. So when they look at the letter, it looks weird in the letterbox. Address it to them personally, all that stuff. And I went to this shop, you know, those random shops that your kids love that just sell crap. Just
plastic
crap,
things.
crap. I went in there and picked up all the stuff, brought it home, and just never followed through with it. You know, imagine how many clients I could have had off my Dream 100 list now if I'd have sent them something every month consistently for the last 10 years.
So maybe you just need to find the person that could execute that for you.
Yeah, because I'm not a follow through. I'm an idea generator and I don't want to do the work.
Yeah. And now that would be easy, right?
Yeah.
I just need to find someone. I've got this idea. I need the person that can just do that for me.
Yeah, so in that case, I'd need a physical person, like a personal assistant that lives near me that will work on an hourly basis.
Yeah.
And they go to the shop and I should have spoken to you 10 years ago.
So that's the Dream 100 for ideal clients.
Yeah.
I also encourage people to write out another list of people they'd like to collaborate with.
Okay.
So I know that if I just got on Simon's podcast, how many people listening to this would love to be on this show? I feel very lucky. Would love to be on this show because by speaking to you, they get increased credibility. Your kind of clients are their kind of clients.
Yeah.
So write a list out of people you'd like to collaborate with. Now that might be partnering up to bring two services together to create something new and unique.
Yeah.
I heard Russell Brunson talk about this on his podcast. So ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
He wanted to partner with Tony Robbins. Didn't know how to, didn't have connections with it. I'm going to probably tell this story wrong, but it's along the lines
I heard this story from Russell Brunson in person at Business Mastery as well.
Right.
But I only loosely remember it as well. So, but yeah, please, it's a good story.
So Tony and Dean Grazioso were launching a new business, and let's say it was called Mastermind.
Yeah, it was called Mastermind actually, teaching people how to take the knowledge that they've got and convert. And I bought it, even though I'm Tony's business partner. I get nothing for free, and it was good. Right. And it teaches people how to take their knowledge and turn it into an online course that they can then sell.
So Russell wanted to partner with those guys.
Yeah.
Didn't have the relationship with them. Ended up speaking to Dean Grazioso, and they said, why don't you buy the domain name? I can't buy it. Someone else has already got it. Why don't you offer them? I tried to get in touch, no luck. So most people would stop at that point. Russell then goes away, has a look at this website, mastermind.com or whatever it was, scrolling through it. Didn't just look at the first page, scrolls through. On the About Us page, there's the two guys who founded this business. There's a picture of them holding up and celebrating being part of the 2 Comma Club. That is at a Russell Brunson event in ClickFunnels. So he rings these guys up because they're his clients.
Yeah.
Long story short, he buys the website and gifts it to Dean and Tony. They said, thank you very much. We just can't accept that. Would you be a business partner with us?
Yeah.
That's how you make things happen.
Yeah.
So it's not just a case of, like The Secret. You write a list out of these people and magical things happen. You write this list out and then you get to work on it. And I say to people, apply the 80-20 rule. 80% of your time and effort on business development on your normal stuff. 20% on your Dream 100.
Okay, that's cool.
And then just make it happen.
Because it takes time for the Dream 100, whereas the 80%, you might pick up clients that are smaller or maybe not that big game-changing client, but that conversion can be quicker.
It's your regular work, but you win a big one once a month or once a year, and it has that transformative impact on your business.
I think that's so useful for people. And in that part of the conversation, I'm just looking at my questions that I would normally ask. We've already answered most of them. What are the biggest mistakes that you think people make? The 3 maybe biggest mistakes that people make around collaboration, connection, just generally in growing their business that you've learnt from?
They don't follow up.
Yeah, okay, yeah, definitely. I'm guilty of that, 100%.
They don't follow up. They'll meet somebody that could be a dream client or collaborate, or they can help in some way.
Yeah.
And they don't connect with them on LinkedIn. They don't ring them. They might have one meeting. We're in the world of business dating. You've got to have multiple meetings with people. So in the corporate world, what do? We will never have a meeting without an agenda.
Yeah.
We'll never finish a meeting without taking actions.
Yeah.
And setting the date for the next meeting.
Yeah, bam fam. Book a meeting from a meeting.
Yes. We do it in corporate all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we throw the rule book out when we start our own business.
And even prospects that maybe you've engaged with and they said, okay, look, Circle Networks is not right for me right now for whatever reason. And then you just don't stay in touch with them. I've been so guilty of that as well. We've probably spoken to 1,000 people over time and we're quite expensive. So they might have said, look, I actually love what you do.
It's just not the right time.
Yeah, I mean, I physically can't afford it, or we find out that they can't afford it because we try and budget that people should be spending about 4% of their gross revenue on their finance team. So that's where we roughly base our fees and give them what they need and what we can do for that fee. But in their mind, they might not be ready to spend 4% because it is quite a lot if they're making quite a lot of money.
Everyone's doing the maths in their head right now.
Yeah, this is how much growth factor costs. Beware. But we do track our ROI and refund the difference to our clients if we don't generate them what we've charged them. Anyway, I never followed up. So I've got these 1,000 people I've sent a proposal to. They've said not right now. And instead of putting them on an email list and just sending them value every week and then inviting them maybe to a quarterly face-to-face physical collaboration event, I just did nothing.
You're not alone. You're not alone. But you still built a big business. It's
God knows how.
But because your business is doing well, you don't have the necessity to do that.
Yeah, okay. Maybe. I don't know, I think...
But it could have been bigger, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm not obsessed with the size. I think probably because we do great work, we get referrals. We've just organically grown by 20 or 30% every year for the last 13 years. But we could have... Like, one of the things I want to do is make money. And this is what I advise everyone should do with their business. 3 things. It should make money. It should give you freedom. You should be, like, you choose to work 9 to 6 or 7 to 6 with breaks to walk the dogs. Yeah. But that's choice. If you wanted to stop now, I'm sure you've got enough subscription income that you could probably work a couple of hours a day just to get the bits done and the business would just slowly grow.
So I was very fortunate. We had a week away in South Wales with the kids and in-laws the other week, like the week before last. The business carried on without me.
Yeah. And you can take a full week, right? So you've got freedom, tick. You earn money, tick. Nice, clean car you've turned up in this morning, tick. very well dressed, well presented, you've got money, tick. Okay, from out external, I don't know how much money you've got in your bank account, but you're a successful person. And then the last one, which is where you're going to get true happiness from, and true happiness and is true fulfillment. You have to be fulfilled by helping people, and that's impact. And if you can impact more people, you should be more fulfilled. You leave a legacy, right? It's going to be at some point, once you earn enough money to do everything you want to do, what is there after that? Legacy.
I have a scrappy post-it note on my pin board from when I sat my NLP training 6-7 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was. It says help more people.
Yeah.
It's on my pin board. It hasn't changed.
Not make more money.
Help more people.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a lot of time where people get things wrong. You're primarily driven by just making money. And at some point, there are loads of people on YouTube, we're not going to name any names, that are making shitloads of money. But they're starting to get found out for the quality of the product or service that they're actually providing. So they're not able to do this in the long term.
I've got clients that are doing far better than me.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to help somebody else than it is to help yourself sometimes. So I've got people that have doubled and tripled their business within a year or two.
Yeah.
And
True,
I get more joy
yep.
from that.
Yeah.
I say to people, most people, why does networking work? If someone rings you up that you know and like,
yeah.
and they ask you for help,
yeah.
you'll probably stop doing the paid work that you're doing at that moment to help them out for nothing.
Yeah. It's just most people, they'll only do that when they don't have enough money to pay their bills. They're in that situation. Like I said to my kids actually, because they were asking me about money, because, you know, last year we lost 2 key people. We still grew as a business, but probably by 3-4%. We had a really tough year. We lost 2 key people. So we spent most of the time just making sure we recruited the right people to come back and trying to understand why we lost them, unpacking all of that. It's been a way more difficult market for everyone. So it's more difficult to sell a really high priced service. Anyway, I put them on like a spending ban. Okay, you can't have this, you can't have that. They've never known this before. So they're starting to think, oh, are we in trouble? What's going on? They're asking about money. They're asking about things. I just said to them in the car, look, I never want you to worry about money. You know, if we had a really, really bad situation, I would literally sit on the phone. I've got 9,000 people in my phone book, and I'll phone them one by one saying, hey, look, I'll be honest with you. Here's the situation. I need your help. Who do you know that you can connect me with that's got a business that might need my services? If I make 100 phone calls, I actually explain to them, if I make 100 phone calls, 3 people will buy from me on the spot there and then. Probably 4 or 5 because I'm quite convincing. So I just need to make phone calls. I was like, look outside from the car. How many businesses do you see? Every second shop is a business. So just chill. Like, I've got you. If it ever happens, I've got you. But my thing is, I'm not in a difficult situation. I am financially free. So it's wrong and it's a mistake. I'm not following through. So I'll take that personally as well. What's the second biggest mistake you think people make?
They just bury their head in the sands.
Okay, in what way?
So if you're in a tough spot, and I think there are more people working from home now than ever before.
Mm.
And I think that has changed. I always had an office because I felt like there was a stigma to being home-based.
Yeah.
That's changed now as a result of COVID. Big businesses can be home-based. You're the perfect example of that, people around the world. So the world has changed.
The world's tiniest office, which I haven't shown you yet, but it's basically like a shoebox. Yeah.
But it can be hard. When you're in a tough spot, most people don't let other people know.
Yeah.
They won't want to appear vulnerable. But if I have a conversation with you, so if I reach out to you, and you know, when we ask for help, we expose ourselves. So if you're listening to this, when we put our hand out for help, our wrists are exposed. That's a sign of weakness, vulnerability.
Yeah.
So when we make ourselves vulnerable to somebody else, that gives you the opportunity to be the person that makes a difference.
Yeah.
So it's you give and I take.
Yeah, you're asking out of. It's not out of greed. It's out of maybe not even need, but just even if you didn't ask out of need, but you put your hands, I'm putting my hands out, and asked because you genuinely have something that you think could help my networking clients, like you said, I would stop what I'm doing. I'd message my marketing team and I'd say, look, Jamie wants to reach out to our clients and our network. What can we do to make this happen? A social media post, plus an email, plus a video, plus this, plus that, go. But if you come with your hands down in that way, without being vulnerable at all, then I don't think you create that desire for me to help you.
No. It's got to be a relationship, and most people will only come when they want something.
Yeah.
If the phone rings and it's someone we've not heard from a while, what do we think? What do they want?
Yeah.
Why are they calling me? Someone knocks at the door. Who's that? What do they want?
Yeah.
So we're not used to it. So I encourage people to get on the phone a lot. And there's a lot of resistance to this.
Because I don't answer the phone if I don't know who it is. For some reason, I'm going to do your NLP training and the timeline stuff. If you can share the link with me, then I can put that in the show notes as well. Because I'd love to understand that. I just don't answer the phone. I'd rather them leave a message. Then I know who it is. Then I can decide if I want to speak to them or not.
So have you seen on the latest iOS update, when someone starts leaving you a voicemail now on an iPhone, it starts transcribing it. So you can you can read it while someone's... So the old-fashioned answer phone that would be on the table in the hallway, and you could hear someone leaving a message and pick up the phone. You can do the same thing now.
Oh, wow, I need to turn that on. I think I turned my voicemail off as well.
hate voicemail.
Yeah.
I don't want voicemails from anybody.
No.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we do. So asking for help, we bury our head in the sands instead. So we will, I don't know, try posting on social media. We'll do all the stuff that we've always done that's never got us the results that we want.
Yeah.
Or probably do less because we're in a pickle.
Yeah.
Rather than thinking, okay, who do I know that could probably help me? I mean, I feel like I'd just recommend loads of books. There's a book by a guy called Dan Sullivan called Who Not How.
Oh, Dan Sullivan is amazing.
Yeah.
I read his latest book, which is written by someone else with him.
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of the book.
Ben Hardy.
Ben Hardy,
he partners with.
Yeah, Ben Hardy wrote, and does the audio. I recommended that to a few people. We had this little WhatsApp book club going, a few creatives. Some people love it. Some people are like, this doesn't make any sense. It's literally just telling me to think bigger. But I just think they're not listening to it properly.
So the premise of that is, if you set yourself a big want,
yeah.
So I want to win. So if you get your dream 100,
10x is easier than 2x.
1x.
1x.
Yeah, 2x. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. It's easier to go 10 times bigger than 2 times bigger. So who, not how. So you've got this big goal. You don't have to do it all yourself. Who can help you to achieve it? And that's what I help people to do. If you follow Marvel or something like that, I read this somewhere. You can assemble your own Avengers team.
Yeah.
This is what I talk to people about. At school, when we were kids, I was not a brilliant footballer. So I was more like Vinnie Jones. I was the hacker. So they knew that they were safe with me, that if we needed to take someone's ankles out, Jamie would be the person for it. But I wasn't the first person to get picked because I didn't score goals.
Yeah.
Now you're in charge. You can pick your own team of people to help you. It might be that you're on someone's list. Yeah. I could be on someone's list. But they're the ones that are picking. And they're lucky to be on that team. And you can build partnerships with them.
Yeah.
And when you do that and you pick the right people, some you will have to pay. Some will do it on a reciprocity basis.
Yeah.
Others just want to help you.
Yeah. So it's being resourceful. Don't be stuck, guys. Think, who do I know? But also, what do I know? Like, for example, you've gone and invested in NLP training. That's made a massive difference to your life. Yeah. I went and did business mastery. I've invested in other online courses. But, the topic is collaboration. The first thing will always be, I've got, I think, 10 or 11,000 people first degree on LinkedIn now. Within there's someone that can help me do everything. And if I go with open hands, I'm done. I'm not stuck anymore. Yeah. Okay, third mistake that people make.
What do you need to stop doing?
Yeah.
We just get, we talk about atomic habits. We just get, well, I've always done this. So I've always posted on social media. I've always posted on LinkedIn. People in LinkedIn pods. I'm going to be a little bit controversial now. I had a coaching client and she was in 2 LinkedIn pods. She would spend 2 hours at the start of every single day commenting on everybody else's posts.
Oh my days.
And I said to her, how many clients have you had from this? Well, none, but my reach is huge. And I was like, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
So what is it that you're doing that's not working for you that you need to stop?
And so the one way you can find that out is, just to add to that point, which I totally agree with, but to add a little caveat, don't stop doing something because you're not seeing results, because that is going back to the point of not following through.
Yeah.
Think about whether that just needs to be done for longer and you've tested it over a long enough period. But also, what I always talk about with my clients is, business is like an open loop. You test a strategy, but you have to put some measurement metrics in place. Like Peter Drucker talks about, what gets measured gets managed. What doesn't get measured does not get managed, and you have no idea whether it's working or not. So, for example, the comments, you set that up and you set up some KPIs, key performance indicators, to track, what are you actually looking for off the back of that? Well, you're looking for leads, aren't you?
Yeah.
So of those comments, how many conversations did that lead to? And this could be a simple Google sheet. How many conversations led to phone calls? How many phone calls led to either collaborations or leads? And if at the end of that, you've done it for, and you give yourself a long enough period of time that maybe you agree with someone that's either advising you to do it or someone else externally, 3 months, whatever it is, there's no results, then you stop it.
Yeah.
And you start something else.
I'll give you an example of that. So my LinkedIn had stopped working for me. My reach was going down, engagement was dropping, people commenting, just wasn't doing the right thing. So I didn't stop it. I just stopped what I was doing, found someone that knew what they were doing.
Being resourceful.
Yeah. So 2 guys that I now collaborate with, Craig and Imran, and learnt from them. And now my comments are going up.
Yeah.
My reach is going up. I think we're interacting now as a result of me improving my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So what is not working for you that you need to stop what you're currently doing and change it, or stop altogether? That's the third.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. And also, so one of the things I put in my daily vlog yesterday was I have this productivity planner that I use. And it's basically like just a journal. And one of the questions it asks you when you do a weekly review, which I think is really nice because it asks you to review your week. Not just how productive it was, but how happy were you? Did you enjoy it? Did your actions align with your goals? And one of the things is, what do you need to start doing or stop doing or continue doing?
Question.
And then you write that in a little paragraph. I love this journal, actually. It's called the Productivity Planner. You can get it on Amazon. And on a daily basis, it's asking you stuff like, what are you grateful for? Which puts you in a certain mindset. So slight sort of topic change, but is there anything that you do to make sure that you're optimizing your performance at work? And also thinking about longevity, we spoke about 75, but actually I've got a memory of seeing Sir Richard Attenborough. I know that there's David and Richard, so I'm not sure which one it is, but one of them went to the tennis. We were lucky enough to get tickets in the ballot for Wimbledon. I think he's 100. He walked out on his own, sat down on his own, stood up, took a bow, and everyone literally in the audience clapped him. He's still making documentaries, doing all that stuff. He's not stopped going on adventure holidays. So are you doing anything other than walking the dogs, I guess, which we spoke about, which that's probably the number one thing that you can do for your health is walk, to optimize your sort of longevity, life and health span, and increase your performance at work, like your focus, your drive, your flow.
I'm not doing enough, and I recognise that. Now, my plan is to live to be 127.
Okay.
So I was born in 1973.
Yeah.
I want to live into the next century. So my sights are set on 127.
Yeah.
I'm 51 in a couple of months' time. So I spoke to somebody a few months ago, and I got that from who were we just talking about? Who Not How author? Dan Sullivan.
Yeah, Dan
In
Sullivan.
a podcast he talked about, he wants to be 146.
Yeah.
Well, so mine feels a lot easier than his. But it's a mindset. And he's I think, in his mid-70s now.
Yeah.
And if he was still hanging around with most of the people his age, they're all preparing to die.
Yeah, if your mindset is people die at 80, you will start to decline, right?
Yes.
So that's the first thing you're doing. You've changed your mindset around actually how long you can live.
Yep. I don't see myself retiring.
Yep.
I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work. I cannot not do what I do.
Yeah.
I just meet people, chat to them, connect them. I've always done that.
Yeah, you're obviously the type of person, I can't remember how these personality types get described, but someone was asking me, if you go into a talk on stage, when you come off the stage, are you buzzing? Are you full of energy? Or are you drained? I'm like, oh, I actually feel really tired afterwards. And they're like, well, you're this personality type, so you enjoy doing it at the time, but it doesn't energize you. You need to find what energizes you and do those things. So like actually coaching clients, doing podcasts. Yesterday, I was so full of energy. The difference was I did a podcast and I had a coaching call. Yeah. So keeping mentally stimulated is something that you're doing.
I love learning, reading, more reading now than listening to stuff, I find.
Yeah.
I've just had COVID last week. My son very kindly passed it on from his flatmate.
Nice.
Knocked me for 6. So over the last year, I think I've had it 2 or 3 times. And that has been the wake-up call for me to realise, oh, do you know what? When I got it a year ago, I stopped some of the exercise that I did.
Yeah.
So it's back on the agenda now. I've got a big event coming up. So I know that I'm in push mode. And by that I mean, I've just got to have lots of conversations with people.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of people are on my training program at the moment. Then when I get to September, I know that I've got a bit of a gap.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. We can't have that balance, can we? I am either all in at work or not. And I'm all in at work right now.
I'm addicted to training. So I've got a podcast. I know I need to be showered, shaved, changed. I need to clean the whole downstairs of the house because I'm not having you coming in and the house is a mess.
It's spotless. But
other than there's Lego all over the table, but I can't do anything about that. And I want to work out. So I'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'll work out, even if, like, for whatever reason in my head, from my childhood, whatever it might be, like I was overweight as a child and I got bullied a little bit. So that's probably gone in there. And now, literally, rightly or wrongly, everything comes after training. Because if I don't train, I'm not the person I want to be with the kids and the family and all of that stuff. So I'll go in the morning and I'll do that. So I think it's maybe an obsession, and I can't say to you, you should go at 5 o'clock in the morning, because unless it's an obsession, like you're an addict, you won't do it. There's a couple of things for the COVID and the building up your immunity that I can show you after, that I've got in the fridge. You can get liposomal glutathione, which is a really powerful antioxidant. You just take a teaspoon a day.
Yeah.
Not bad for you at all. Supercharges your immunity. And you can get liposomal basically means liquid. Curcumin, which is like turmeric, but better. That's expensive. It's like 80 quid a month, but it really stops you getting sick. And have you heard of Peter Attia? Anything by Peter. So buy the book. I think it's called Outlive by Peter Attia, and just do what he says.
Okay.
So he talks about living into 150, but having health span and lifespan. So you don't want to be 100, but you can't get. He has these markers of what he wants to be able to do with his great grandkids. Yeah. Pick up a ball, play football, do all these different things. And so he's set up this book to basically tell you, if you follow this, you will live as long as you can, but you'll also have health span.
I watched Blue Zones.
Oh yeah, I love that documentary on Netflix actually. Super interesting.
Yeah. And part of that is around just how you live your life on a daily basis. And a lot of these people, they cook from scratch.
Yeah.
They live somewhere that's probably hilly.
Yeah.
Or they're physically active in some way, and they're doing less sitting down and more activity.
Yeah.
And I think it's just tipping the scales in a certain way. I'm conscious that I spend most of my time in front of people sat down.
Yeah.
Now, that could be...
So it's getting up, which you're doing twice a day, and stretching and moving. Even some of those people in that documentary drank alcohol.
Yeah.
And smoked.
Now, I don't smoke. So that goes.
But they wouldn't be smoking on a daily basis. It'd be a communal thing that they might do once a week or once every 2 weeks or whatever it is.
The bit, I mean, we all take the bits that we love and ignore the bits that we don't like, don't we? The bit that I loved was how community was so important to them.
Yeah.
And that's part, and I think as you naturally get older, our circles get smaller.
Yeah.
Mine is growing.
Yeah.
In different communities, different things that I'm doing. I spend all day speaking to people.
Yeah.
A variety of different kind of conversations. And I love it. Even when I'm out walking the dogs, you've got a dog. What do? You speak to dog owners. When I first moved, so I grew up in a very conversational community up in the lakes.
Yeah.
Everybody would speak to anybody, whether you knew them or not. You'd say good morning. I moved to Cheshire, and I would walk down the street and say hello to somebody, and they would just look at me.
Yeah, they think you're weird. It's not the done thing.
Yeah, and then after living there for 13 years, I then got 2 dogs. All of a sudden, there's a secret community of friendly people, but you need a dog to be in that.
Yeah.
It was a game changer for me.
It is just the simple things, isn't it? There's a book, Happy Something, by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. And one of the strategies that he gives his patients who come to him with depression, or they're overweight, or they've got ill health, is to go for a walk and smile at people that they see coming the other way. He goes, I'm not giving you any medicine until you do that for a week. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, you've spoken a little bit about this, but we know that the reality of a business when you want to grow, it's not a license to print money if you're reinvesting in the growth of the business. So I imagine you are constantly reinvesting in systems, processes, and your own learning to deliver a better outcome and people. Okay. So talk to me about what you're kind of doing there.
So as we're growing the partners that we've got in the business, the licensees, one of the things I realised was it was relying on me to onboard and support them and train them.
Yeah.
As well as doing everything else. So I brought somebody on. And weirdly, I just found some journal from 2 years ago that said, bring Gillian in as part of the team.
Okay, yeah.
It was funny how we forget stuff, isn't
it?
So I'd only written in 2 pages of this notebook and found it the other day. And then 2 months ago, Gillian joined as part of the team part-time.
So you do need certain people that you bring in as staff, as team.
They're all self-employed people. That I work with.
Fine. Yeah.
So
and they're not sitting in an office somewhere. So
Yeah,
it's not like you're doing everything on your own.
Oh, no.
You've got a team of Avengers
They're
that
just
work
not
with
employees.
you. Yeah, they're just not PAYE, sat in an office with a big overhead. They're doing work as and when you need them and can scale up or down with you.
And you form part of that for your clients.
Yep.
They don't recruit an accountant.
No, for sure.
They bring you on board for that specific skill set that you've got.
Yeah.
You know, Liam Nilsson, I've got a very particular set of skills and you're very good at it.
Yeah.
And they pay you and you offer huge value in return.
Yeah.
So I find people like that. I've got somebody else that helps with our marketing and some of our social media.
Yeah.
Branding, all sorts of different things. So
then they can be results driven, right? Rather than you're on the payroll, here's your role profile, go and work. But they know they've got 3 months notice and they've got an HR department and they've got this and they've got that. I just think it's so much better what you're doing, because if they're not delivering on the results and the agreed KPIs that you've set for them, first of all, you would help them, give them the best chance of doing that. But if they still can't do it and it is a results role, then you have to move them on and find someone else.
One of the biggest challenges for people is letting people go with employees. I've had to do it in the past. One of the hardest things that I ever had to do when we bought Clean Easy, we made everyone redundant. They had the option to relocate, so we bought it in Bristol. It went into administration, so we rescued everybody. It was a roller coaster. Oh my God, it's gone bust. We bought it. We've got a job. Then a few months later, we announced we were relocating it. Now, fortunately, everybody got jobs down there. 4 people relocated.
Right. Yeah.
So, but it was the worst thing I had to do was to tell people that they lost the jobs, and it's never a good time. It's never a good time. So I don't want to repeat that. So that's probably part of my story, that I've never liked having to let people go. So I just don't put myself in that situation.
Has that been one of your biggest struggles, or what?
I'm not that ruthless kind of person that can hire and fire.
Yeah.
I'm really invested in people, and generally the more that you know about somebody, if someone's underperforming, there's probably something going on in their personal lives. So you're just going to add to their woes by letting them go on top of a divorce.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like with the people that left last year, I think if we had spent more time with them and had a better understanding, like for one of them, for example, you know, what happened to them and their personal circumstances were out of our control. And even if we knew about it, we couldn't change it, and they weren't in a position to want to continue working for anyone during a period of time. And that's just one of those things. But if you've got a better understanding of it and you're more closely connected to your team, whether they're payrolled in an office or they're what I would say fractional, as and when you need them, you know what's going on, don't you? And you can support them in the best way. What's been one of the biggest struggles that you've had in running Circle Networks?
The overwhelm.
Yeah, for you to do everything.
Yeah. So
And how have you dealt with that? I wrote in my journal, interestingly, 2 days ago when I got back from Ibiza, my head is a mess. I'm in a jumble. I need to journal to unpack all of my stuff and just get it into a simple plan.
So when I talked about burying your head in the sand, most people just keep stuff in their heads. And that saying, a problem shared is a problem halved, rings true. I'm very fortunate that when I started in work, I was employed.
Yeah.
My wife at the time understood that. Then I moved into self-employed and she didn't understand that. We drifted apart during that time. One of the things I did when we had that breakdown, we just drifted apart. We're still friends.
Yeah.
But I sat and have you ever read The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy?
No, but I've seen it actually.
So
I recommend it.
Either in the book or I was fortunate enough to do his mastermind, and he shared with me how, and I think it's in the book, how when he was looking for his dream partner, that he wrote out a vision for his partner, what he wanted in that kind of person. For me, I wanted someone that was by my side running the business, and I think that's one of the struggles for entrepreneurs, that their partner doesn't fully support them and that they don't have a support network around them.
Yeah.
And I think when you're me as the MD of a big business, the challenge is it's a very lonely place at the top, and you're part of a mastermind, so you're dealing with people who are in the same situation in the same industry.
Yeah.
You can share that with people and they understand it and get you. For most business owners, you go from in a job with friends and family who are also in a job to start a business, and we all know it. Why are you doing that? Why would you give up the security? That's not going to work.
Yeah.
And then it takes years before you then realise, I need to network and build a network and be around supportive people. But when you are, that's how you can overcome the challenges.
Yeah.
And for me, I find that Lou is brilliant. She's a great listener for me. And more often than not, I just need to say it out loud.
Yeah.
Rather than keeping it inside, just the act. And she's very good, because I do go quiet with stuff, and then she'll just, what's up, what's on your mind? And just by saying it, I will then answer my own question of what I need to do next.
Yeah.
So just getting it out of your head. Journaling is exactly the same process for people. But for me, I just find I'm not very good at journaling. I'm very good at talking.
Yeah.
So have the
Yeah,
right
it's
people.
whatever works. Like for me, my wife's supportive. If I want to talk, she'll listen. But I tend to have a business partner who was with us for a long time, came on board as an accountant, grew right up to be an equity partner. And so he will know, but he's always ready to take a call from me. I'll share my big ideas with him. I'll also share my frustrations with him. And then after the call, I feel fine because you've taken it off your shoulders. But yeah, don't feel like you're alone if you feel like that, guys, because everyone feels like that at the start, it might be okay. First few months. But even when you're running a business that's doing 5 mil, 10 mil, you'll still feel like that. Even if you've got heads of department and people doing different things for you. There's so much going on at all times.
And we've got to change and evolve during that. So and you see this with a lot of big successful businesses. The founders don't end up being the people that run it.
No.
It goes through various different stages. So you've got to be smart enough to learn to bring other people in to help you with certain things.
Yeah.
You can't do it. And I realise that. Of course, I think I'm amazing at I know what I'm not good at.
Yeah.
Detail, follow through, organisation, admin.
Sounds just like me. Okay, right. I'm going to hit you with some sort of rapid fire stuff, and then we'll try and bring everything together. A business should be able to attract, convert, and deliver massive value to clients. How do you attract your clients primarily? Is there something that people can do to get a feel for what you do without making a long-term commitment? How do people who are looking around at Circle Networks, while they're listening to this, they're probably Googling what you do. Like, how do you attract clients in the first place?
So if I ran a restaurant, I would invite people in to come and try the food.
Yeah.
I don't. What I do, unfortunately, I'd be twice the size. What I do, we offer a 2-week free trial. No credit card details required, completely free.
Okay.
The best way to experience us, come and try it. So it's a 2-week trial.
Yeah.
We've got 20 networking events online a week.
Wow.
So over that
so
2
you
week,
can find one that works for you.
There is no good or bad event that we run.
Yeah.
Come along and try one, meet some people, and you'll get to experience what our community is like.
Yeah.
Our format is very conversational, as in we're in small breakout rooms with a few people. Now, we're slightly different. Most networking events you go to, you feel like you've got to prep to do your pitch, and that might be 60 seconds or longer. We put people into breakout rooms, and it's like those coffee break moments. So there'll be maximum 4 people in a breakout room. Everybody gets 4 minutes each. We tell you to start by telling us, what do you do when you're not working? Help me get to know you.
Yeah, yeah.
People buy from people.
Yeah.
They don't buy from job titles. They don't buy from businesses. They buy from people. So
True.
help me get to know you.
Yeah.
For me, I've already said I've got 3 kids. I've got 2 dogs. I like gin. I love barbecues, and I love a great Indian.
Those are a couple of new ones. Yeah. I know you love a great Indian, yeah.
And I used to be a scuba diver. So,
oh, wow.
So from that, people can get a feel for me. If you don't like any of those things, I've saved you some time. You don't need to book a meeting with me for an hour to find out you don't like me.
Yeah.
So start by telling us what you do when you're not working. Then a little bit about your business. And I always say to people, an easy way to do that, tell me about your favourite client or tell me about your most recent client.
Yeah.
It's a story that you know.
And maybe how you've helped them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the problem that they had? Why did they come to you? What have you done for them? And then, what can people do to help you? That's it. It's conversational.
Yeah. And
people can ask questions and it's interactive. And because there's only 3 other people with you, you don't feel like, oh my God, all eyes are on me. And so it's almost like it's networking for introverts.
Yeah.
But it's like a mini mastermind.
Yeah, I love the way that you can come in and experience it. And then so, okay, that's how you attract people. Obviously, you've got a massive network. You're putting out content. You're meeting people all the time. All the stuff we talked about in the podcast thus far is how you're generating attraction. Yeah. People join and do the 2-week trial. How do you convert them into a subscribing, paying client?
I put a lot of effort into our system.
Yeah.
So when people register, it starts their 2-week trial from the date of the first event. They can't book for any more events after those 14 days on the system because it stops them. So it just says, you're not a member, click here to join.
Yeah.
And our membership's £60 a month on a rolling basis.
Okay, so for a business owner that has a business that's genuinely a business, it's something that they could find by, number one, which in my experience business owners never do, go back through all your overheads, have a look at all the subscriptions you've already got that you're not using, and it'll be probably 3, 4, 5, 10 times the size of the subscription to Circle Networks. Yeah. I guarantee you guys, if you haven't done it before, there'll be multiple softwares that you're paying for that you've not used for months, if not years.
Either in your business or personally.
100%, yeah. I have a process where, and if you want the process, just drop cost into the comments. We review all the business accounts and categorize the costs, and the personal accounts and categorize the costs into 4 buckets. And then from those buckets, you've got a significant, we try and ask clients to do it quarterly, a significant saving. Yeah. Almost every quarter there's something else that pops up. Yeah. It's just amazing. Okay, so that's conversion. Basically, they love it. If it's right for them, they want to continue. They can't get access, so they click through.
Yeah. And we give full access to everything.
And then the people that don't click through, do you stay in touch with them? Yeah.
If I've met them personally,
yeah,
I'll stay in touch. I'm connected with them on social media. I'll drop people messages. I engage with their content. I'll still pass introductions to people. Some networks won't pass you an introduction if you're not a member. If I can help somebody, I just do it.
Yeah.
So, and then
do they get tagged in a CRM or anything to say, okay, they've done the 2-week trial, they haven't joined, so let me put them on a weekly newsletter or something just to stay in touch with them.
So I was that person that didn't want a CRM.
Yeah, you need a CRM.
didn't want one, and then weirdly, I've got a CRM now, and people go on our email list, and it's really easy to unsubscribe. So we're not forcing people.
And then when they're ready,
people join.
Yeah.
The time's just not right. So you've got to particularly take it right now. People are joining, but if you come and have your 2-week trial now, and then you've got 2 weeks abroad, you're not going to join at the end of your trial.
And then things come up and all of that stuff.
Before you know it's September, and we see, as in most businesses, there are those peaks, aren't they, when we go back to school?
Yeah.
Businesses tend to see an uplift, and particularly now, as people are approaching the back to school season, well, it's the run up to Christmas then. I think this is the best business time of the year.
Yeah. Now.
September through to December. Don't get me wrong, I think that the school holidays in December can be just as good as any other time of year.
Yeah.
But everyone is in work mode in September.
Yeah, trying to get as much done before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Just out of interest, for my own interest, you don't even have to go into a lot of detail for it though. When people get the emails off the back of the CRM because they didn't buy, are you answering the most commonly asked questions, which are their reservations to join, or are you just giving them educational emails each week about the power of collaboration?
It's a mixture.
Okay.
So some of them are...
That's fine. That's good.
It's a mixture.
Because we could do a whole episode on CRM and email marketing.
And I'm no expert on that.
No.
So I've got someone that helps me with that.
Okay, perfect. Which confirms your other point. Just real short, sharp. What have been your 3 keys to success, do you think, for you individually? Why are you successful?
Work smarter.
Yeah. Work smarter. 1.
Automate things as much as I can.
Number 2.
Build great relationships.
Perfect. We've already done this. Where would you advise someone to get started? Which is the 5 people. Go from there. Build your network.
Like you said, we've all got a phone book on our phone. We don't have little black books anymore. Go through that.
Yeah.
Ring someone that you've not spoken to for a while and reconnect with them.
And go and join the 2-week trial, because there's no reason really, which I love about that. It's like we offer a free financial and tax diagnostic review call. It's a bit of a mouthful, but basically people send us their financials and their tax returns ahead of the call. It's all confidential. I review the tax returns, I review the financials, and then in a 30-minute call, I tell them all the areas they're overpaying tax. I've only ever done one review in the last 13 years where I couldn't find overpaid tax. And I run through their financials. I did this for a CFO client yesterday, found 50k that they'd left on the table. It's actually a Canadian client that are an e-commerce business. So there'll always be value. There's no sales pitch. It's just about me showing what I can do. So when they're ready, they'll come back to us. But people don't book the call because they think there has to be some ulterior motive here. It has to be just a sales pitch. It has to be just a waste of my time. Yeah. I have to do a better job, I think, probably, of explaining why we do the calls. We try to explain it on the website. We do the calls because if I can show enough value and plant enough seeds, people will come back in the long run. And I like helping people anyway, whether you become a client or not. But I just think people don't believe you.
Maybe ask the people who do it to record a little video.
Yeah, testimonial, social proof. And then maybe I love what you said at the start before we turned all the cameras on, you know, where you've got someone who comes through that's interested in working with you or working with Circle Networks. You have a process where they can watch a couple of reel style videos of you actually talking to them, rather than what I'm doing is sending them to a Calendly and they're just reading words on a page. Yeah, I'll do that. Is there anything that you would have done differently between 2019 and now with Circle?
Yeah, set bigger goals.
Set bigger goals. Okay, perfect. So read 10x is easier than 2x and set bigger goals. I love it. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you wanted to talk about? Like, firstly, thank you for coming on. I didn't really know where today would go, because sometimes you do have people that run networking events and operate networking, and they can be, I mean, I knew this from the first call, but we only spent 15 minutes on the phone. Could be quite dry and less interesting to talk to. You're so interesting. I could literally have you on every season and talk about different things. We could do one on NLP. We could do one on what you've learned from all your partners, one on how you structure your business without having people on PAYE, which people will be so interested in, one on how you've moved from the UK and how you've even thought about opening up in Dubai or other locations. Like, there's so much cool stuff. I personally have got a ton of value from it, loads of actionable steps that I'm going to take away. So I know that people watching or listening will have as well. But is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't covered?
No, I think it's really easy to attend courses, watch videos, listen to podcasts, and do nothing.
Yeah.
So take one thing from this and do it now.
Go and take action now. How can people find out more? Where's the best place for them to go to that's easy for them to
LinkedIn
to get more information?
LinkedIn is my go-to thing.
Okay.
It's me that does all my personal LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
you search for Jamie Stewart Circle Networks, connect with me. I accept all connection requests.
Awesome.
And drop me a DM.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jamie. Pleasure to have you on, mate.
I've loved it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.